Hello everyone and welcome to the Mythic Quill. I'm Sherry Leclerc. Today's topic is, how long should a debut novel be? And before I get into all the statistics and the numbers and all that stuff, I'm just going to take you on a quick tour of my bookshelves behind me just to illustrate a point. So say you're a new author and you go into a bookstore or a library to try to figure out how long your book should be. Well, a word count is not actually printed on the book anywhere, but even if it was, you can see that there's all kinds of different sizes of books here and all different widths. Now, a lot of things besides word count can affect the width of a book, such as the trim size, which is how big it is around. Like this one has a bigger trim size than this one. And also like what paper is used inside, what the font is, the word count per page, and so on. Now this is children's fantasy, and you can see they're fairly similar, but there's still some difference. Now when you get to fantasy, which is my genre, that's where you really start seeing the difference. So this is some self-published authors from my region here. Then we have Cassandra Clare. You can also tell the difference from her earlier books to her later books, the difference in word count there. And these ones here are Sherry Lynn Kenyon. Those are adult fantasy because they have some like erotic elements in them. But these here are all from the same series, from the Dark Hunter series. And some of them are hardcover and some are paperback. But even taking out the fact that they're different trim sizes and perhaps different papers and stuff, it's obvious that the word count there varies quite a bit. So these are, Sherry Lynn Kenyon, of course, is a well-known author who's really popular. So then how do we know, for new authors, how long your books should be? Obviously, there's quite a variety. So let's just talk about some things I've discovered over the years. So as you can see from that little tour of my bookcases, it's really hard for a new author to decide like how long should my book be, because even if you're looking at in a bookstore or a library, there's a lot of variety there. But of course, enough new authors are concerned about word length that there are numerous posts online, numerous discussions about it. So I just want to talk about some of the things I discovered when I first started writing and started looking into how long my debut novel should be. Because the first place I looked, of course, was Wikipedia, because you can find just about anything in Wikipedia. And according to Wikipedia, a novel is anything 40,000 words and above. Then you have a novella, which they say is 17,500 words to 39,999 words. Then you've got novelette and then short story and so on. But it didn't actually talk about what word count should be per genre. So I kept looking, and one of the other helpful articles I found was on thewriterlife.com. And the article is called How Many Words in a Novel, and it's by Blake Atwood. And I'm going to put some links in the description below for some of the articles and posts that I saw about word length. Now, according to Atwood, the general fiction, for general fiction, novels are 50,000 to 110,000 words, and novellas are 30,000 to 50,000 words. So already we see that there's a difference between this post and the one that was in Wikipedia. But Atwood also breaks down word count by genre. So for mainstream romance, he has it at 70,000 words to 100,000 words. For subgenre romance, it's 40,000 to 100,000 words. Science fiction and fantasy, my genre, and the one I was showing you over there with Sherry Lynn Kenyon, is anywhere from 90,000 words to 120,000 words, and even up to 150,000 words sometimes. Historical fiction can be 80,000 words to 100,000 words. Thrillers, horror, mystery, crime can be 70,000 to 90,000 words, and then young adult can be 50,000 to 80,000 words. So I'm not going to talk about nonfiction or children's literature here, so we're just going to stick to the main genres for adults. So even with all those numbers, there are lots of outliers. There are many people who do really well writing well above the recommended word length. And there are some that do really well rating below the recommended word length. So it all depends, right? But there are a couple of things that new authors need to be aware of and to keep in mind. First of all, if you're going to go through a traditional publisher, publishing houses often have minimum word lengths or maximum word lengths. And
another thing for new authors is if you're a new author and you're untested and people don't know you yet, a lot of publishing houses will want to keep it to the shorter side, because keeping your novel short means less money spent for editing and formatting and less time invested as well. So they're not going to want to put all the extra time and money into an author if they don't know yet if they're going to make back their investment. That being said, though, like I mentioned, a lot of them will have minimum and maximum word lengths. And if you're going to go to one of those traditional publishing houses that don't require an agent, then you can often find that information in their submission guidelines online. If you're going through an agent, the agent should be aware of the submission guidelines, and if they aren't, they should be able to find it out for you. I am a member of a number of writers groups, both face-to-face and online. And a few months ago, there was an interesting discussion I found in one of the posts. It was for self-published authors. And it talked about word length for books. And somebody was suggesting that for new authors who haven't built their fan base yet and people don't know you yet, it's a good idea to keep your book short. So for example, if you've written a book that's really long, you could divide it into 2 novels or put it in a series. Of course, you'd have to rework it a bit so that each book has its own arc. But, you know, there's a couple of reasons for that. And one of the reasons was financial, because the reasoning was that you'd make more money on more books over time, which is, to me, is not really a great reason. But the other reason they gave made more sense to me, which is the one about new authors being untested, and people who find you will be more willing to take a chance on you if the books are less of an investment, both time-wise and cost-wise. So there's a lot of varying opinions out there, and it's just like everything else when it comes to writing. There are a lot of opinions, and you don't always know which ones to listen to. So I'm going to give you some do's and don'ts here. Just remember that what works best for your book might not be what's going to work best for somebody else. So just keep that in mind before I give you the do's and don'ts. So after all the research I did and the stuff I read online and listening to people or watching people have discussions in groups and so on, I came up with a list of do's and don'ts. So do base the length of your book on what feels right for your story. Don't base it on the per word or the per page cost of editing, which some self-publishers might be tempted to do. Do keep in mind the submission guidelines if you're going to go through a traditional publishing house. Don't assume that all publishers are looking for the same thing, because they are not. Do think of the purpose, audience, and genre of your book to help you decide on the word length. So for example, you don't want to write a super long book for children's literature or for young adult literature. But for an adult book, you don't want to write a super short one. So keep all that in mind. So that's it for this topic today. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to learn more about writing, publishing, editing, and just stories in general, please hit the subscribe button. And if you hit the bell icon, you'll be notified the next time that a video is posted. Thank you, and see you next time.